Now, do I think Floyd Mayweather could beat Terence Crawford? Nah, hell no. But do I think Floyd Mayweather can compete? Absolutely. Do I think Floyd Mayweather has a shot against Crawford? Yes. You gotta understand, Mayweather has took no damage throughout his whole boxing career. And he's a very skilled fighter. Do I believe Mayweather is just as skilled as Crawford? Absolutely. You know what I mean? If Crawford has a bad night, hey, we got a new world champion. And you know what? I think for Floyd's reputation or Floyd's legacy, it's a good move. Because even if Floyd loses, he definitely was supposed to lose. 1,000% Floyd was supposed to lose even if he loses, right? And that's not going to tarnish his record. Screw the perfect record. You know what I mean? John Bones Jones, technically he has a blemish on his record, one loss. It's not going to take away from him being the greatest. Ali lost at least 3-4 fights in the tail end of his career. It's not going to take away his legacy. You know what I mean? He's still the greatest in the world. People are still saying he's the greatest in the world. Mike Tyson right now, boxing at 60 years old, over 60 years old, this dude is actually adding on to his legacy because he's still in shape. You know what I mean? He's still doing his thing with the young boys. You know what I mean? So he's still hanging in there with a lot younger talent, right? So it's, the way Tyson left by humiliating the sport and just giving up, he's actually redeeming himself right now. Okay? Individuals like who else? Ali's, like I said, Ali, he's still the greatest in the world. But right now, Floyd Mayweather, everybody's saying that they don't respect that perfect record, so it's kind of pointless. You know what I mean? They do not respect that perfect record because they're saying he picked and chose whoever he wants to fight, and he didn't, but that's what they're saying, right? But if he actually goes in there and holds his own out of retirement for several years and holds his own with Crawford, even wins a couple of rounds and makes it competitive, you got to put Floyd in there as the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? Because if you could come back and beat the #1 boxer after 5 years, you got to be considered. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing with Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan took a 5-year break, came back with the Wizards. Okay? Obviously, he wasn't the same Michael Jordan, but he averaged over 20 points off the bench. You know what I mean? After 5 years of inactivity, Michael Jordan was still holding his own. He was still, one of the decent players in the game. He still made the All-Star team. Like, what are we talking about here, right? And here's the thing, though. He was so, even though those years, the Washington Wizard years, were not the greatest of all time, him averaging 20 points? Shoot, the top dudes ain't averaging that, He averaged 20 points. He averaged more points and he did more than Magic Johnson in his prime. You know what I mean? That goes to show you. And he's playing against all these younger, more talented, bigger, kids. Bigger talent, you know what I mean? Michael Jordan is still known as the greatest of all time, even though he came back and didn't do so good. You know what I mean? He went to play baseball. It was pro baseball. He was, his batting average wasn't that good. But dude ain't never played baseball since probably early high school. But he was still able, 20 years later, dude was still able to actually compete to some degree or hang in there in pro baseball? Come on, man. You got to give him the respect where respect is due. And Floyd Mayweather, like I said, man, this fight is at least $200 to $300 million. And I think Floyd started talking when he seen what Crawford did to Canelo. Because Crawford was supposed to knock him out within the first 2 rounds. You know what I mean? Canelo should not have gone the distance. You know what I mean? And yeah, Crawford did his thing and he dominated the whole fight, but Canelo's pretty much almost done, you know what I mean? So, hey, Back to Clarissa and Layla Ali. Layla, no matter what, you got the last name Ali. You will not lose your legacy if you came back and fought Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields is supposed to win. She's supposed to school you. She's supposed to dominate you. You know what I mean? She's way younger, right? She's the champ right now. So all you got to do is compete. Compete in one night for $15 million? And you ain't taking that up? 1 million? And you still ain't taking that up? Like I say, Layla, forget about trying to keep this legacy, because the truth is that if you ask anybody what Layla Ali's boxing record is, people, they won't even know that she's undefeated, because it doesn't matter. People just want great, entertaining events. They don't think care who wins anymore. It's not like back in the days, man. It's not. Period. It's not like back in the days when they had like Sugar Ray Robinson, or, you know, nobody cares no more about records. All they care about is entertainment. That's why Tank is going to make $100 million fighting Jake Paul. You know what I mean? Tank cannot make $100 million fighting anybody that's active right now in boxing. Even if they did a super fight between Tank and Crawford, maximum that's going for about 50, 60. Because if Canelo and Crawford only got 40, but Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor got 100. Oh, that's Conor got 100. Floyd must have got 200 or 300 million. What does that tell you? And the fact that Crawford wouldn't take that fight, or he's like, he's hesitating to take the Mayweather fight, or even a Jake Paul fight. That goes to show you these dudes want to protect their record, man. I don't care about records right about now. Your legacy is cemented all the way. You know, once your legacy is cemented, just go after the bag, man. Be wise. You're talking about legacy. Here's the problem with legacy. When people say legacy, they automatically assume that this is my boxing legacy. No, dude. The reason why you're boxing is your family's legacy. So when you turn down $100 million for your own personal sports legacy, you're choosing the art in your sport over your family. Because if you could get $100 million, your kids ain't never have to work again. But you want that perfect record. You want that record intact. And trust me, if Floyd Mayweather got in the ring right now with Crawford, that's going to be a very competitive fight, even when Floyd hasn't been boxing for several years. It's going to be extremely competitive because it's about skill against skill. And Floyd Mayweather was heads above everybody else. That Crawford's going to have problems. So Clarissa Shields said Layla Ali was scared. That's factual, I believe. My opinion, Layla Ali is terrified. She's terrified of what people will say. That's why this woman, she's not terrified of getting her ass whooped, because I think she could protect herself good enough that she ain't going to get knocked out, right? You know what I mean? And she's a better boxer, so she could just dance around Clarissa Shields. That Clarissa just tries to throw this haymakers to knock her out. But she's afraid of not being perfect when she has been perfect her whole career. She's afraid of what people would think. She's afraid of public criticization. She's afraid of being criticized by the public or by the general public. And that's why Layla Ali, like, this woman gets a whole almost 30 minutes segment explaining and detailing the relationship between her and Clarissa Shields, trying to explain to the public like Clarissa's lying and this and that and blah, 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 and Layla has only shown love and Layla's not scared to fight and all that kind of stuff. What's the point of this, man? That production costs you a ton of money to explain to the world that you ain't soft and you ain't running away. All you gotta do is turn on your cell phone camera, say, yo, Clarissa, I ain't afraid. I ain't running away. I'ma fight you. If you give me 15, I'm gonna take the 15. If you give me 10, I'm gonna take the 10. If you give me 5, I'm gonna take the 5. But it's kind of pointless. That fight naturally is gonna generate a ton of money just because of those two names. So Layla's getting paid, man. Take that money. Even if you lose, you're still the champ. You're